All right, 2011 FRQ version B exam number 3. This has to do with a lot of the economic indicators that we find from Unit 2. Okay, so it gives us a table on the top, and Part A has all to do with the table. Everything else, B, C, and D, can be done, completely separate of that table. So we'll start with Part A. All right, the outputs and prices of goods and services in country X are shown in the table above. Assuming that 2009 is the base year, calculate each of the following. So we're given 3 different items that the economy is producing: food, clothing, and entertainment. We've got our 2009 quantities, our 2010 quantities, and the prices from each year. So the first thing that we need to come up with is the nominal GDP from 2010. So to get our nominal GDP from 2010, we need to use the 2010 quantities and the 2010 prices. So 8 times 250 is 20, 10 times 10 is 100, and 5 times 5, 25, for a total of $145 worth of final goods and services produced in 2010 using 2010 prices. So 145 is our nominal GDP. Now, we want the real GDP from 2010. Now, they haven't given us any deflator to use, so we're going to have to use the prices from the base year. So real GDP, we need to identify the base year, which is 2009, and then we're going to use the quantities from 2010 because we want the real GDP from 2010. So 250 times 8 is 20, $6 times 10 is 60, and $4 times 5 of the entertainment units are $20. So our total here is $100. Our real GDP from 2010 is $100. All right, that's it for question A. Question B has us go on to if in one year the price index is 50 and in the next year the price index is 55. Now remember, this is separate from Part A. We're not using the values from the GDP to determine a deflator. In this case, we know our index is 50 and then 55. What is the rate of inflation from one year to the next? Now, to get our rate of inflation, we need to get our CPI in the current year minus our previous year, or the change in CPI divided by the earlier year or the previous year, times 100. All right, so we take that. 55 is the later year, 50 is the earlier year, divided by 50, so 5 divided by 50 times 100 ends up being 10% inflation. All right, Part C, assume that the next year's wage rate will be 3% higher than this year's because of inflationary expectations. The actual inflation rate ends up being 4%. At the beginning of next year, will the real wage be higher, lower, or the same as it is today? So this one we got to think about a little bit. The easy answer is that the real wage rate will be lower. All right, but why? This is all you need to put for the answer, but I want to explain it a little bit. So imagine that in 1 hour you make $10, and the price of a movie ticket is $10 as well. You work 1 hour, you can get 1 movie ticket. That's the value of your 1 hour working. So they increase your pay based on the expected inflation, 3%. So next year, beginning of next year, your hourly wage is going to be $10.30. All right, you work 1 hour, you get $10.30. However, real inflation, actual inflation, ends up being 4%. So that movie ticket goes up 4%. So now a movie ticket is no longer 10, it's $10.40. So you're working 1 hour, you're making $10.30 to not even be able to get into the movie theater. So last year, you could buy 1 movie ticket for 1 hour for 1 hour worked. This year, you can't even do that. So the real value of your wages has gone down. The buying power of your wages has gone down because real inflation was greater than expected, and expected was what your raise was based on. All right, Part D, assume that Sarah gets a fixed rate loan from a bank when the expected inflation rate is 3%. If the actual inflation rate turns out to be 4%, who benefits from the unexpected inflation? Sarah, the bank, or neither? Or both? Explain. All right, so we know that the expected inflation is 3%, so they're going to give you a rate based on that. And then it really ends up being 4%. So let's see how this pans out. If you have an 8% fixed rate, this is just a hypothetical. It's not part of the question, but 8% fixed rate, 3% inflation, your real rate is 5%. So let's imagine Sarah's real rate was supposed to be 5%, but realistically, we have 4% inflation. So they didn't change the fixed rate, that's still 8%, but we minus that 4% inflation, the real rate ends up being 4%. So in reality, Sarah expected to pay a 5% real rate or real interest rate. It ended up being 4%. So in this case, Sarah is going to benefit from the unexpected inflation. Now the answer why is because the fixed rate loan payment that she's going to be making is based on that fixed rate that she received, which was based on an expected 3%. So the loan payment will actually have less value because inflation increased greater than it was. So the payment she's making actually is worth less than it would have been if the real rate of inflation was 3%. Now, you don't need to go into that much detail. Just simply explain that the loan payment is going to be worth less. So that's it for this question, guys. It's not too in-depth, but it kind of jumps around a little bit. So it's a lot of different economic indicator type stuff. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Take a look at my other FRQ walkthroughs, and I'll see you guys next time.